In the village of Katarov, a silver-haired boy is being sentenced for a crime. The boy is tied up and kneeling in front of a group of jurors who are announcing his punishment. The village is famous for its S-ranked dungeon called Katarov Dungeon, which is the main reason why this village is always so crowded. The higher-ups of the village announce the boy's punishment: he will be thrown into that dungeon. Hearing this, the boy screams that he wasn't the one who committed the crime, insisting that he's been framed, but no one believes him. He is taken away by the guards while the real culprits laugh at his misfortune. The silver-haired boy named Kiska actually works as a farmer in the village, and just the previous day, all his crops had been ruined. The culprit behind his ruined crops is his bully Darga, who is the son of the village head. Darga visits Kiska's field to mock him and smirks at Kiska's helpless condition. He mockingly tells Kiska that he heard from his father that this year Kiska's crops had yielded very low production. Kiska quickly understands that Darga is the actual culprit behind all his problems, but he still apologizes to him. Kiska is an elk, and in this village, elks are mistreated and bullied for their silver hair. The main reason why elks are hated in this village is that, in the past, an elk betrayed humans and helped demons, so the villagers deeply hate elks. Darga punches Kiska, and soon his friends join in, also hitting him. Despite having his crops wrecked and being continuously bullied, Kiska has no other option but to endure the pain since no one in the village would be willing to help him. After his beating, Kiska is walking back home when he meets Naima, his neighbor and childhood friend. She looks at him with pity, immediately knowing that Darga has bullied him again. She's the only person in the village who actually cares for Kiska and treats him kindly. She looks at his injuries and tells him to come with her so she can treat his wounds. She tends to his injuries and asks him why people in the village don't like him. Kiska explains that his silver hair is the reason why people bully him. He calls his own hair disgusting, but Naima tells him she likes his silver hair, which makes Kiska happy. Naima then ruins the moment by revealing that she is going to marry Darga soon. Her announcement shakes Kiska to his core, as it's clear that he has feelings for Naima, but now she is going to marry his biggest bully, and there's nothing he can do about it. Instead of complaining, Kiska smiles at her, broken-hearted, and congratulates her. Naima looks at him in shock and asks if he's really okay with all of this. He looks at her, confused, and Naima continues, saying he won't be able to live in the village anymore. He looks down and tells her that he has no other choice since this is the only place he can stay, but Naima suggests something completely wild. She asks him to elope with her. She expresses her disgust at the idea of marrying a man like Darga. She tells him she has some savings at home that could help them leave, and she shares her desire to run far away from the village. Kiska feels a surge of determination and calls out Naima's name to stop her from rambling further. He grabs her face and kisses her. He confesses his love to her, and Naima reciprocates, telling him she loves him too. That night, Kiska packs his things and runs to Naima's home to elope with her. He runs happily, thinking that his dark days are finally going to be over soon. When Kiska arrives outside Naima's house, he hears her shrieking scream and dashes inside. He calls her name and is horrified to find Naima being violated by Darga and his friends. He sees Naima's half-dressed state and her tear-streaked face. Kiska demands to know what Darga is doing, but the bully merely smirks and says Kiska can already guess from the scene. Something snaps inside Kiska, and he orders Darga to move aside. But when Darga doesn't budge, Kiska punches him hard. The punch does some damage, but the difference in their physiques was something Kiska should have considered before hitting the big guy. In retaliation, Kiska is once again beaten to a pulp by his bullies. Darga then asks Kiska what he's doing there at this hour. Seeing Kiska twitching in horror, Darga senses something suspicious and signals his minions to hold Kiska against the wall. The torture begins as Darga's friends start pulling off Kiska's nails. Kiska's screams echo throughout the neighborhood as they continue to tear his nails off. Unable to watch her friend in pain, Naima steps forward and tells Darga she will confess the truth. Despite Kiska's pleas for her not to reveal anything, Naima tells Darga about their plan to elope, which fills him with rage. After being hit repeatedly, Kiska loses consciousness, and the last thing he sees before everything turns black is Naima's tearful face as Darga chokes her to death. The next day, Kiska is charged with taking advantage of Naima's parents' absence, breaking into her home and raping and murdering her. He is sentenced to be sent to the Kadyrov dungeon. Kiska is heartbroken, knowing the truth that Darga killed Naima after learning of their plan and pinned all the blame on him. Despite his innocence, Darga and his friends give false testimony against Kiska, leading to his unjust punishment. The executor asks Kiska if he has any last words, but Kiska remains silent, feeling there is nothing left for him to say. The executor interprets his silence as his answer and orders the guards to cut his ropes and throw him into the dungeon. The dungeon itself is essentially a death sentence, as no one who has entered it has ever made it out alive. Kiska is thrown at the portal, which activates, and he begins to teleport. As he fades, he recalls all the mistreatment he has suffered and vows his hatred for everyone who wronged him and his friend. Kiska wakes up and finds himself inside the dungeon. He stands up and looks around. Suddenly, he hears the roar of an rank bugbear approaching. He remembers hearing that anyone who encounters this monster never makes it out alive. Kiska quickly begins running as the beast charges after him. His desperate calls for help are answered when a silhouette appears between him and the monster, asking, "Do you want me to help?" Kiska desperately begs for help, and the silhouette transforms into a beautiful girl who grants him a skill to survive. The skill Kiska receives is called Save Reset. He is confused about what the skill does, but before he can make sense of it, the monster punches him, killing him instantly. After some time, Kiska wakes up in confusion, shocked to find himself alive and well. He is baffled, knowing he should be dead, and questions himself, wondering how in the world he is still alive. After dying from the bugbear's attack, Kiska wakes up alive at the same spot and wonders why he's still alive. He is still grasping the situation when he looks back and sees the bugbear behind him again. The bugbear punches him, and Kiska dies on the spot once more. Once again, he wakes up in the same place, recalling how he was just killed by the bugbear a minute ago, wondering why he's alive again. He looks back and is killed by the bugbear again. This loop continues over and over. Finally, Kiska realizes he isn't coming back to life repeatedly, rather. Each time he dies, he returns to the same moment just before his death. Kiska starts wondering if he'll ever be able to survive this monster. He tries various methods to evade the monster but fails every time, only to die again and again. He attempts to avoid its attacks by running away, but every tactic proves futile as the monster catches him, no matter what he tries. After countless deaths, Kiska wishes for anyone to kill him, as he can't bear this endless cycle of pain. Finally, a glimmer of hope appears when a skill bar opens up before him. He looks at his list of unacquired skills and tries to turn off his current save and reset skill. Just as he's about to deactivate it, memories of Namia and the villagers flood his mind. He remembers all the hatred he harbors for the villagers and refuses to give up so easily. Driven by rage, he turns back and attacks the bugbear, but once again, he dies. Kiska becomes determined to take revenge on the villagers and decides he'll escape the bugbear, even if it takes 100 tries. After dying 100 times, he finally manages to launch an effective attack on the bugbear and escapes. While running away, he searches for something he can use against the beast. He looks around for treasure that might help, but finds only useless items scattered nearby. The bugbear pursues him, and as Kiska dashes away, he accidentally triggers a trap that opens up a pit of spikes. He gets impaled by the spikes and dies yet again. When he revives at the starting point, Kiska takes 200 more tries before finally mastering how to escape the bugbear and avoid the traps. This time, he purposefully jumps into the spike pit, according to his plan, and lands safely without getting impaled. Looking ahead, he spots a hidden room at the bottom of the trap and quickly enters it. Inside, he finds a treasure chest, filling him with joy as he finally discovers a valuable skill. Inside the chest is the Crystal of Wisdom. When he touches it, a large skill board appears before him, displaying a list of skills. Kiska is given the option to choose one skill, and after careful consideration, he selects Stealth. After choosing Stealth, his entire body glows as power surges into him. Just as he's about to celebrate, the exit door closes, and several summoning portals open around him. To his horror, numerous bugbears are summoned, and once again he's killed by them. After dying once due to choosing Stealth, Kiska decides to choose another skill this time. Believing that acceleration would help him read the bugbear's movements, he quickly chooses the skill and prepares to attack the monsters. He is able to use the skill perfectly, but the only drawback he experiences is that the skill isn't enough to go against the 10 bugbears. After dying 200 times, Kiska was able to get the stealth skill, which proved to be useless against these 10 bugbears. Next, he used the acceleration skill, but the skill was only useful when Kiska was able to land a punch on the first bugbear. However, after the attack, his own hand was broken, causing him to be easily killed again. After he dies, he goes back to the start again, and after a total of 225 attempts, Kiska is able to get to the room again. Unfortunately, the next few attempts turn futile as well, since he keeps getting killed every time he tries to kill them. After dying a total of 300 times, Kiska comes to the conclusion that he can't kill these monsters with the acceleration skill. After dying so many times, Kiska isn't able to summon the courage to press the skill selection button. As he is about to lose hope, he remembers Namia and Darga. His hatred resurfaces, and he remembers his main goal to take revenge on the villagers. He chooses different skills, and after a total of 420 attempts, he is able to defeat one bugbear. The skills board congratulates him for defeating the bugbear. He is happy about the level up, but soon his happiness drains away when he realizes that defeating the rest of the bugbears would be impossible for him. After 510 attempts of trying to escape the room, Kiska finally breaks down in tears and complains that it's because of Darga that he is stuck in that hell. He promises himself that he will kill all the villagers who had betrayed him. Once again, he gives the skill board another try, but this time, he isn't paying attention and selects the skill provoke. He looks at the result of his mistake and gives up on his survival. He believes that he will just die right away and come back to continue again. Just as the bugbears are summoned again, he decides to give this skill a last try. He uses the skill and provokes a bugbear, who comes dashing towards him. Kiska moves away at the last moment, and the monster smashes right into the table. Kiska is surprised to see the results and decides to try the skill one more time. To his surprise, the next bugbear also attacks him due to his provocation, and his attack lands on another bugbear, defeating it easily. Kiska sees the result of the skill and laughs at the outcome, realizing that it was so easy to defeat the monsters. Carefully using the skill, Kiska is able to defeat all the monsters without even breaking a sweat. Finally, after his 510 attempts, Kiska was finally able to conquer this treasure room that spewed out 10 bugbears. After Kiska managed to find his way to defeat the bugbears, he was met with another challenging enemy in a rank headless mule, which had killed him over 10 times already. He tries his best to escape the monster, but to no avail, as he is summoned back to the same location again and again. Kiska was a bit relieved that he didn't have to fight those 10 bugbears over and over. He finally manages to find an exit and continues on that pathway. At the end of this pathway, he finds 3 summoning portals. Kiska quickly understands that he can teleport to a different location if he uses these portals. He chooses one of the portals and is transported to a strange pathway, which leads to a single exit. He enters the exit and finds a girl sealed inside the room. He recognizes this girl as the one who granted him the skill save and reset. Without thinking, he breaks the seal trapping the girl and frees her from the restraints. She wakes up and thanks him for helping her get free. Kiska asks her name and she introduces herself as Eija Tsubaki. She tells him that she was an ex-hero who had been sealed here, and thanks to him, she is finally free. She asks for Kiska's name, and he introduces himself. After their introduction, she asks Kiska to bend down a bit for her and kisses him. Kiska is shocked and pushes her away. He asks her what she was doing, but Eija simply shrugs and tells him that she is trying to thank him. Kiska is confused by her actions, but she quickly asks him if he wants to escape the place or not. He firmly tells her that he is definitely escaping this place, and Eija happily takes his hand and runs toward the exit. She tells him that she will help him escape. Eija shows her skills by easily killing the headless mules in an instant, impressing Kiska. She happily turns back and asks Kiska if he thinks she is strong, and he tells her that she is indeed strong. Eija blushes while Kiska thinks that he might stand a chance of survival if he sticks with her. She then uses her magic and stores the headless mule's body in her hand. Kiska asks her what this skill is. She tells him that it is a skill called box skill. After collecting the magic, Ajiha turns to Kiska and tells him they'll be moving forward now. Surprised, Kiska asks where they're heading, and she explains that there's a mini-boss on this level that needs to be defeated before they can progress to the next. She reassures him that, just as he helped her escape the sealed trap, she'll help him escape too. But Kiska humbly insists that it's because of her that he's made it this far in the dungeons, so they're even. They finally reach the boss room, and inside stands an S-ranked golem. A massive 10-meter tall monster. It immediately launches an attack. Aja tells Kiska to get behind her as she charges forward to engage the beast. Her strikes land with impressive force, but the golem remains standing. In the midst of her assault, a rock trips her up, causing her to lose her footing and leaving her vulnerable to the golem's counterattack. Just as the monster prepares to land a deadly blow, Kiska intervenes, using his provoke skill to draw its attention. The golem responds by accelerating toward him, striking with terrifying speed. Ajiha watches, horror gripping her heart, as the golem's attack seems to crush Kiska. Overcome with emotion, she bursts into tears, believing him to be finished. But to her shock, Kiska effortlessly dodges the attack, grinning as he sees the golem had fallen for his trick. He quickly signals to Ajiha, his arm wedged into a wall, urging her to strike. Without hesitation, Ajiha unleashes her sacred sword technique, Dragon Slayer, and cuts the golem clean in half. The monster crashes to the ground, defeated. Both Ajiha and Kiska are filled with exhilaration. Kiska, with newfound confidence, believes that their future battles will be much easier with Ajiha's combat skills by his side. At least that's what he thought. After defeating the golem, Kiska and Ajiha begin searching for an exit. After a lengthy search, Ajiha discovers a hidden passage. It is a small hole, but they both manage to crawl through it. As Kiska crawls behind Ajiha, he feels a flush of embarrassment as her panties come into view. He quickly averts his gaze, looking in another direction to avoid the awkwardness. After much crawling and struggling, they finally stumble upon a bedroom. Kiska looks around in surprise, wondering why a room like this would be hidden in a dungeon. Ajiha explains that the room is likely created by a vampire for herself. She tells him it belongs to a vampire named Judith, who has made the dungeon her stronghold. Kiska grows worried and asks if it is safe for them to stay there. Ajiha reassures him, saying it is perfectly fine for them to rest. She sits on the bed and invites him to join her. He hesitates, then sits beside her. Summoning all the courage he can, he asks if she thinks his hair looks weird. Ajiha smiles and tells him his hair looks great. Kiska feels a rush of happiness and relief. It has been a long time since anyone has complimented him on his silver hair. The memory of all the bullying he has faced for it resurfaces, and a pang of sadness strikes him. He glances at Ajiha, grateful that she, along with Namia, is one of the few people who has seen his hair in a positive light. Ajiha, noticing his sudden change in mood, then mentions that he is from a different world, and that could be why she feels his hair has some kind of magic to it. Kiska freezes, surprised by her sudden revelation. She asks if he believes her, and Kiska reassures her that he does. Hearing his sincere answer, Ajiha smiles, clearly happy, and lays her head on his shoulder. Kiska, too, enjoys the peaceful moment, savoring the comfort of being together. However, their quiet time is interrupted when Kiska's stomach growls loudly, causing Ajiha to laugh. She teases him a bit before getting up and telling him she will cook for him. She walks over to the kitchen, retrieves the headless mule's meat, and begins preparing a proper meal for them both. Kiska is stunned by her skill and the effort she puts into making the meal. When he takes a bite, he is overwhelmed by the rich, delicious taste. He continues eating quickly, savoring every bite. As he eats, a thought crosses his mind: food is scarce in the dungeons, yet Ajiha has still managed to prepare such a thoughtful meal for him. He feels his eyes well up with emotion, touched by her kindness. Ajiha notices his tears and, concerned, asks if the spices are too much, but Kiska quickly assures her that the food is perfect. After finishing their meal, Kiska suggests that Eiji take the bed while he sleeps on the couch, but she insists there is no problem with them sharing the bed. Kiska, however, firmly declines and chooses sleep on the couch. Later that night, as Kiska lies awake thinking about their escape, he feels useless, relying so heavily on Eiji's skills. His thoughts are interrupted when he notices Eiji climbing on top of him. Her eyes appear hazy, almost as if she is drunk. Before he can react, she kisses him, then places his hand on her chest. She whispers "I love you" repeatedly, leaving Kiska both confused and scared. He asks her what he has done to deserve such a gesture, and she answers that it is because he has saved her. Eiji goes on to reveal that she has granted him the special skill to rescue her, and as Kiska processes this new information, she continues, explaining that she has given the same skill to many others who have entered the dungeon. But only Kiska has kept his heart pure and managed to reach her. She calls him her prince, and tries to take her shirt off to offer herself to him, but he blandly refuses, telling her that he is in love with someone else. Hearing this, Eiji acts erratically and forces herself on him, insisting she is fine with being his second choice. She tackles him and tries to force herself onto him, but Kiska harshly pushes her away, causing her to fall to the ground. Kiska becomes frightened by Eiji's actions, as they remind him of Darga and his friends when they forced themselves on Namia. He feels guilty for shoving her so harshly and looks at her. She gets up, apologizes for her behavior, and goes straight back to her bed. She falls asleep, while Kiska remains awake, his mind full of regret for his actions. He decides to put those feelings behind him the next morning and eventually falls asleep. The next morning, Kiska wakes up to a soul-crushing sight. Eiji, the only person who has been his support and companion, has taken her own life. Her lifeless body hangs from the ceiling, swaying gently by the rope she used to end it all. The horrific scene before him sucks the life out of him. Kiska's stomach churns as he vomits, his body reacting to the unbearable sight. Guilt creeps into his heart, suffocating him. He feels as though he is the villain in this story. The thought of his rejection the night before torments him. He believes that his decision has driven Eiji to her death. The feeling that he is responsible for her suicide weighs heavily on him. In a panic, Kiska runs from the room and crawls out of the hole they entered the day before. But as soon as he steps out, the headless mules find him again, and he is killed once more. When Kiska opens his eyes, he is back in the same room where he killed the 10 bugbears. This time, however, he makes a decision. This time he will choose a different path. He decides that he will accept Eiji's love to stop her from ending her life. He remembers Namiya, but as he hesitates, he realizes that no matter how many times he dies, Eijiha will always be here, and he cannot keep avoiding her. Kiska returns to the room with newfound determination and breaks the barrier holding Eiji. She falls to the ground and looks at him, but something is different. Her eyes, once filled with emotion, now look cold and indifferent. She stares at him, but there is no recognition. She says she has never heard of anyone named Kiska. Kiska is taken aback by the change in her demeanor. His confusion grows as she looks at him with cold eyes and asks why he smells so bad. Unable to shake the uncertainty, Kiska finally asks if she is truly Eiji. The girl then seems to realize the situation. She looks at him and coldly states that if this isn't the first time he has met her, it means that he has gone against her in the past and caused her to take her own life. He tries to explain to her that he isn't her enemy, but before he can finish his reasoning, Eiji grabs his neck in a tight chokehold. She warns him not to think that dying will reset everything and tells him that Eiji no longer wants to speak with him. She explains that she shares the same identity as him, which means that after Eiji died, she came back to this point. Kiska assumes that Eiji has a split identity and that this girl is her other self. With a final warning, she tells Kiska to never try to get involved with Eiji again. Then, she snaps his neck. Kiska realizes that if he tries to reach Eiji again, he will be killed once more. He heads back to the summoning portals and looks at the 3 circles in front of him. Remembering that he went through the middle portal to reach Eiji last time, he chooses the left circle instead. He is transported to a corridor similar to the one Eiji had been in, but at the end of this one, he finds another girl calmly sipping her tea and relaxing. She looks at him happily and tells him that it's rare for an intruder to be here. Kiska is shocked to see her casually drinking tea in such a hellish dungeon. She smiles and asks if he needs something from her. Kiska asks her for a way out of the dungeon. The girl smiles again and tells him that it's rude of him to be so disrespectful in front of her. She reveals that she is the oldest ancestor of the vampires in this dungeon. With a swift motion, she slashes her wrist with her sharp nail, and a weapon made of blood emerges, impaling Kiska through the heart. She tells him to pay for his disrespect with his death. Kiska wakes up again in the same room where he started, terrified by the thought of the girls in the portals. He is gripped by fear and finally realizes that this dungeon is filled with dangerous people. Kiska wakes up and realizes that he has died once again. As he processes the situation, he remembers that the girl who killed him, Judith, is the true ancestor vampire Aegea warned him about. A wave of fear washes over him as he recalls how this seemingly innocent-looking girl was the terrifying monster that killed him so brutally. He quickly understands that he can't use the same two portals again, so his only remaining option is the third portal. Without hesitation, he steps through it, hoping it won't lead him to another ferocious entity like Aegea or Judith. At the end of the tunnel, Kiska finds a black sword waiting for him. He eyes the weapon suspiciously but decides to take it, thinking he needs some form of weapon to escape the dungeon. When he tries to grab the sword instead of a smooth pull, he is struck with sharp, intense pain. He screams in agony as the pain intensifies, lasting for several minutes until Kiska loses consciousness from the excruciating sensation. When he regains consciousness, he notices that the sword has fused to his arm, now an extension of his body. He tries to remove it, but it won't budge. Lifting his arm proves impossible, as the sword is far too heavy for him to manage. Determined to continue, Kiska decides to move forward with the sword still attached to him. To his surprise, another monster suddenly appears in front of him, a rank A werewolf baring its teeth. Kiska, feeling defeated and certain he can't fight the beast with only one arm, resigns himself to his fate. But then, the sword moves on its own, flying toward the werewolf. The sword strikes the monster down with shocking precision, leaving Kiska stunned. He realizes that the sword has a consciousness of its own. Though still wary of the sinister weapon, Kiska feels a surge of relief and decides that he will do anything to get out of the dungeon, even if it means staying bonded to the sword. From that point on, the sword helps him defeat every monster in his path. Kiska enters another room and immediately recognizes it as the same type of room where he defeated the golem. He opens the door and finds another monster waiting inside an S-rank griffin. He sizes it up carefully before engaging in combat. After a grueling struggle, Kiska finally kills the griffin. Like the golem's room, this room also has an exit. Kiska makes the firm decision to escape the dungeon once and for all. But as he moves forward, he stumbles, feeling more exhausted than ever. He wonders if it's just him, or if the sword is truly growing larger. Unbeknownst to him, the sword is indeed expanding like a parasite, its growth going unnoticed by Kiska. While searching for the exit, he encounters the one person he hoped to avoid the most, Judith. She stands in his way, smiling. She comments that Kiska has grown up a lot, referring to the sword. Kiska, terrified, asks her what she is doing there. Judith stands in front of Kiska, smirking at the sight of the parasite's sword consuming him. Kiska looks at her, demanding to know what she's doing there. With an evil smile, she explains that she's here to dispose of him, needing to kill him in order to seal the parasite's sword once again. Without hesitation, Judith rips off her left arm and uses it to form a deadly weapon, launching a brutal attack at Kiska. He manages to dodge and counter her strikes, realizing that this isn't going to be an easy fight. Judith then uses a special technique, Shallow Rainstorm, which kills Kiska in an instant. She laughs, though she hadn't wanted to use the technique, and leaves Kiska's dead body behind as she walks away. Once again, Kiska is teleported back to the same room. He wonders which route will maximize his survival chances. He considers the Aegea route, the Judith route, and the sword route. It dawns on him that the sword route gives him the longest survival chance. But there's one major problem: Judith will always be there to kill him. This time, Kiska devises a new plan. He thinks that if he allows the parasite's sword to take full control of his body, he might have a chance to win against Judith. He gambles on it, letting the parasite's sword take control. The sword kills dozens of werewolf monsters, and by the time Judith finds him, Kiska's body has been completely overtaken by the sword. Judith smirks again at the sight, telling him that she'll need to dispose of him once more. She notices that the main body's consciousness is gone, meaning Kiska has lost control to the sword. Enjoying the sight, she tears off her arm again, forming it into a sword to fight Kiska. But once again, Kiska is killed easily and returned to the same room. This time, Kiska feels completely stuck and confused, sorting through his options. He believes he can never take Aegea's portal again. His next option is Judith, who can easily kill him without warning. And the last option is the deadly parasite's sword portal. Torn between the routes, Kiska is unsure of which one will be best for his survival. Suddenly, an idea pops into his head. He realizes there's still one thing he hasn't tried yet. After carefully considering the idea, he decides to give it a shot. Standing before the portals, Kiska gathers the courage to use them again. This time, he isn't afraid of dying anymore. He knows it's a risky move, but he still believes it's worth trying. He chooses a portal and is transported in front of Judith once more. She asks what he's doing there. Instead of being rude, Kiska quickly kneels in front of her, presuming she's the great ancestor of vampires, Judith. He asks her to take care of him and make him her disciple. Judith looks at him, shocked by the sudden respectful gesture before her.